Introduction. And I'm Jing from China National Center for Food Safety Risk Assessment. I'm very glad to join the hybrid meeting and would like to share some activities and progress of our center. I would like to make introduction from the three aspects. First part is related to the introduction of our center. The second part is the main activities and the progress of our center. The third part is related to the 14th five-year plan of CFSA from 2021 to 2025. So this is, sorry. So this is the food safety control framework in China. In China, the ministries related to food safety functions involved in 4 ministries. MARA is the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, which is responsible for establishing standards on pesticide and veterinary drug and GMO. And SAMR is the state administration for market regulating, and which is responsible for regulating enforcement. And NHC is the National Health Commission, and which is responsible for assessment, surveillance, standard setting, pre-market approval for food additives, food control, food contact materials, and some novel food. And another ministry is the GAC, which is responsible for exporting and importing matters. And we also have a State Food Safety Council, which is responsible to coordinate the food safety matters among the different ministries. And the Secretariat of the Council is located at SAMR, and our center belongs to National Health Commission. And our center was set up on 2011. It's regulated by food safety law. So this year is the 10th anniversary of our center. It's a very young center. And as mentioned before, our center is belong to the National Health Commission. And by now there are almost 200 staffs together. So the core roles of our center is to provide the scientific and technical support to policymakers and food safety standard setting body. Our work revolves around this core task, including the risk assessment, risk surveillance, risk communication, and food standards. And the goal is to serve the government providing some technical support and serve to the industry, enhancing the food industry development, and serve the public, raising the public acknowledge. This is the structure of our center. They have be divided into two parts. One is supporting divisions, is related to human sources, finance, and some logistical supporting. And the other is technical divisions, which corresponds to our different tasks. It includes 9 divisions, and we also have 3 laboratories. And we also have 3 scientific committees, which are composed of the experts from the different ministries, different industry, and academic institution, which could review some standards, risk assessment results, and pre-market products for new food additives, food contact materials, and new food, novel food. And this is food safety regulation structure in China. In fact, it has included 3 levels. The first level is food safety law, and second is regulation, and the third level is food safety standards. So food safety law is responsible from the people's Congress is very high level, and the regulations were announced by different ministries, and the food safety standards are issued by NHC and the Ministry of Agriculture together. So the regulations are administrative measures, and food safety standards are tactical measures. So in accordance with the requirements of food safety law, we should establish a food safety surveillance system to monitoring foodborne disease, food contaminants, and other hazards in food. We also should establish a food safety risk assessment system to use a scientific tool to carry out some assessment on the biological, chemical hazards in food, food additives, food contact materials, and others, based on the food safety surveillance data and scientific data and other information. And we also should establish food safety standards based on the food safety risk assessment results and results of edible agriculture products, and also should refer to international risk assessment results. According to the requirement of food law, our center has developed 2 monitoring network. One is National Hazard Monitoring Network, which is covering all provinces. Another one is a foodborne illness monitoring system, including 50,000 of medical institutions. And by now, it has generated 30 million of data, which is the basis of our risk assessment. So this is the outline, a summary of our food safety risk assessment carried out by our center. And by now we have carried out more than 100 cases, and such as aluminum containing food additives, lead in formula, cadmium in rice, and plasticide control in alcohol. And we also have almost 500 new substances pre-market review. And these data resources are from the surveillance from the China Total Diet Study, in Chinese Food Consumption Survey, and the National Food Tox Program. And this pie chart is seems that the contaminants, food additives, microorganisms are high priority for risk assessment. So our national food system, safety standard system include several contents like contaminants, pathogens, food additives, specification for certain food standards, specification for food additives, food contact materials, pesticide, veterinary drug residues, nutrients for infant formula and FSDU, and good hygiene practice and guidance, labeling requirement and analysis methods. So this is the national food safety standard system. And from this system, it seems that our standards have been divided into 4 parts. One is horizontal standards, such as the contaminant standards, microbial standards, and food additives, pesticide residues, veterinary drugs labeling. This belongs to horizontal standards. And other part is the product standards, which includes 3 parts, food products like dairy, meat, beverages, and others, and food additive specification, and food contact materials for plastic, metals, and so on. And the third part is code of practice. This part is ensure all the production could be produced during the code of good practices. And the last part is testing methods, including physical, chemical, microbiological, and toxicology methods. So by now, we have issued more than 1,300 food safety standards, and is covered over 20,000 indicators gathered. So we think it could ensure the food safety from farm to table by now. So it's the elaboration progress from the food safety standard setting progress. So we can see it could consider from 2 parts. First is annual plan making. All proposals for standards should be reviewed by the expert committee to ensure the annual plan making. And the other part is from standard draft to the standards published. It should be reviewed by 2 rounds, technical review. And this technical review has been done by experts committees, and is also will be circulation for comments and WTO notification, ensure the standards established by transparency methods. And another review is the Secretary General's review, is review from the social influence. So by this process, it confirmed that the standards could be done by scientific methods. And at the same time, in order to understand the implementation of national food safety standards, we also designed the online questionnaire for all stakeholders to comment online. So from the result, it can be seen that the responders believe that our current national food safety standards can cover over 95% products, and the standards necessity, scientificity, and feasibility scores more than 4.3. So it seemed our system is necessary, scientific, and justificable. So the last part is related to 14th 5-year plan of CFSA. And it's the framework of our next 5-year plan. It includes the 5 paths. First is the mainline. Since our center is very young, so our main aim is to build an innovative and domestic first-class technical center for food safety and applied nutrition. And we have 2 projects. Is related to our construction land, and the other is the key laboratory construction project. And we also have 3 innovation. Is focused on in-depth integration and innovation. We want to build a big data center for food safety and applied nutrition, and also have for foundation is emphasize the work network, is the cooperation with government institution at all levels, build a national and international cooperation network. And the last is Falcon tasks, which focus on food safety standards, risk assessment, risk surveillance, risk communication, and applied nutrition. I would like to focus on the 5 main tasks for food safety standards. As mentioned before, since we have issued 1,300 food safety standards, and I think it could cover the main food safety concern. So in the next 5 years, our main work is focused on how to improve the standard making ability and how to improve standard quality. So we would like to optimize the working mechanism and improve the management quality. And for risk surveillance, is very important to deeply utilize the monitoring data and improve risk early warning ability. Since our surveillance data is the basis of risk assessment, so how to utilize it is very important for us next 5 years. And risk communication is to carry out social influence assessment and research and establish mechanisms and strategies to prevent and resolve social risks. And for risk assessment its main point is to develop, curate, and quantitative the assessment method and characterization technology. So for applied nutrition, since we have national nutrition strategy plan, so the next 5 years, the main work will focus on how to implement a national nutrition strategy plan and make some revisement the food safety standards on nutrition and special dietary standards. So that's all I want to share with in this webinar. And thank you for your attention. Over to Samuel.